Wednesday, August 4th. I'm Scott.
I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, final thoughts on Me Pilgrim.
Let's do this. Clever girl. I realized I do the opener disproportionately now. It used to be kind of 50-50.
I'm just lazy.
Yeah. Plus, it takes some effort to work up. You know, doing the show, we talk normally, but during that opener, it's like,
It can't take that much effort.
Yeah. So we know Scott roboted in the last show, and basically, you know, I'll save this. I won't talk about it in the meta.
Am I roboting right now?
Nah, you're
you
fine.
sure?
Yeah, you're fine. I can see the levels. But basically, I did order, you know, we haven't upgraded our equipment in like 2.5. No, it was even before that. It was fucking, other than the new microphones we bought last year, it was Katsucon. The last Katsucon we went to when we bought this fucking mixer, remember?
All right.
We lugged that thing down to DC. Mm-hmm. So we haven't really upgraded in a long time. So we're going all Firewire now.
There's a rule we have to upgrade. We can't just stop. We can't just reach the necessary level and stop upgrading.
No, we always did.
Maybe if the shit didn't break, we wouldn't have to upgrade.
No, it's not that it broke. It's that it's a pain in the ass to have more than 2 people on the show. Mm-hmm. What with only having 2 inputs into the computer.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, but
Whatever.
I mean, we're upgrading, so hold off. You know, next week I'm going to be on vacation, and then the week after that, Firewire. Might be a little while before the show sounds the same again.
We'll set the wires on fires.
Might sound even better.
House burns down. Get too many wires. They're burning.
But much more importantly, not my news,
burning wires, the new RPG.
I got to gloat at least a little bit because I'm happy about this. Very excited because it turns out that Conrad and a bunch of our friends are also going to this. So Scott, the other day, last week, was like, hey, Rim, there's some Twitter contest to win tickets to the upcoming Scott Pilgrim pre-release, you know, fancy, you know, see it ahead of time, special tickets and all that. And I was like, oh, really? Huh? And I look at my Twitter and I see the things right there. So I just reply and I got a ticket. So I messaged Scott back 2 minutes later. I'm like, yeah, great. I got 2 tickets.
Yeah, I didn't.
They're still doing the contest like all day today.
I just tried again today. I didn't win.
So I guess Friday, I could review Scott Pilgrim. The worst thing is I'm going to Wildwood and, you know, Emily's not going, neither is Scott. So everyone else who's going wants to go see Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be good enough to see twice.
Isn't it kind of interesting how it's like, yeah, I never go see movies really unless
And suddenly we're going to movies all the time?
No, unless it's ultra rare, you know, occasion that I'll go see a movie.
We just went to see Inception. Now you're going to go see Scott Pilgrim.
2 is not a trend, man.
That's a trend.
No, it's not.
I will say this. I've realized I will say this is something I say a lot lately. It's kind of replaced preface or to be sure.
Or suffice to say.
Suffice it to say, to be sure, I must say, as a fan of the Detroit Tigers, 1 is definitely a fucking winning streak.
All right. So Detroit Tigers aren't that bad.
Not anymore.
Anyway, you should have said Lions. That's what you should have said.
Yeah.
You had this other far worse team in the same city.
I would argue
and you
the
picked
Lions.
The
Lions are better for fans than the Detroit Tigers.
How so?
Detroit Tigers are kind of middle of the
maybe
road.
just because football is better, but
no, Tigers are kind of middle of the road, like nothing special. They're not that great. They're not that bad. Lions are so bad, it's awesome. It's like rooting for the Mohawk guy in Fist of the North Star. You know he's not going to win. You're really just there to see how awesomely he loses.
Anyway,
Yeah?
Right, so 2 does not a trend make.
I think
but
I
it's
just
like,
proved.
okay, first of all, I didn't even see the second movie yet. And you know, who knows if I will, if everyone else is going to see pre-showings I don't have tickets to. And Shore, you know, and all these other Shore showings.
What was funny
it
is
just might not happen.
when I said to some people like, yeah,
I'll have to go find some strangers to go with.
I was like, I'm seeing Scott Pilgrim. And then
Can't go to a movie alone. That's scary.
I used to do that a lot.
That's just scary.
When I lived alone, what was I going to do?
Well, okay, if you live alone, that's
Living alone, I
mean, the only thing scary than going to a movie alone, and you know, is going to a restaurant that sit down alone.
Those old days before we did Geeknights, I lived out in the mountains, no internet. I had to drive down the mountain for the cell phone.
Am
I would. No, you're not. Just,
Okay.
Don't worry about the robot. I lived the life of a hermit. I had effectively more free time than I could possibly spend.
And what did you do?
I did a lot. I just didn't create. I basically had a sabbatical, and I don't regret those days.
You need some creating. If there's no creating, it's not good.
No, I was on sabbatical. That was my resting time to build. I charged my laser for a year. I came out with the chargingest fucking laser ever.
How charged is your laser right now?
Right now, my laser's going pretty full force. The thing is, all the shit I'm doing, I can't talk about yet.
I think you're shooting his laser at the mirror. He hit himself in the eye. He's blind.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some newses.
All right.
So check it out. The North America. I'm not going to read it, verbatim, but verbatim.
Verboten?
Verboten. Basically, Discotech, which is an awesome anime, and live action movie distributor.
So they've already said they're going to release Project A-ko and Galaxy Express
What are you doing?
movies.
That's my news.
You used that news last time.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
I'm going to find a new news
Wow.
and not reuse my existing news.
So I'll give you some time here. Superman, according to Slashdot,
right.
saved a family in... No, not Connecticut. That says Comic Connect. Never mind. From having their house foreclosed upon.
All right.
Apparently, they found Action Comics #1 just in the basement.
How does that doesn't happen? That's
They're like, what's this? They sold it. They made money to cover the mortgage. And all I have to say to that is they should have let the mortgage fail and kept the comic. It'll be worth more than the house.
It doesn't really rise, as far as I know. The value of it doesn't really go up. It's just the condition of it can go down.
I would argue the value of an original of this will go up or at least stay static plus inflation.
Plus, the value probably just went down because the known quantity just went up by 1, which is a large percentage of the known quantity. It's like there are only 5 of these in the world. Okay, there are now 6 of them in the world. Well, the price just went down.
So should I not, were I to own Action Comics #1, hire hitmen to take out other Action Comics #1s?
Yeah, you should collect them all into a bundle. That way you say there's one bundle of them. And then you'd be like, well, if anyone wants one, you got to buy this bundle.
Actually, here's a way to make a lot of money.
10 copies altogether. I don't know how many copies there are.
Say you have 10 copies of Action Comics #1.
You can't have 10 copies.
And say there's only 15 left in the world, right? I've got 10.
I don't know how many. There's probably a lot more than that. I don't know.
I'm just making up numbers. So all right. So I make a YouTube channel. I make a live TV stream and all this. I hold up a lighter, and I say, for the next week, I'll be accepting donations. If I do not get $50,000 worth of donations, I'm burning it. I'm killing the hostage.
I don't think you'll get enough.
I think I would.
You would make more than that just selling one of them.
Well, the real way to do that is to burn a fake Action Comics to prove that you're serious and then threaten to burn another fake one.
Oh, man, I wasn't able to find the news in the time.
I used this fluff Superman thing to stall for time and you still got nothing?
It's not easy to find newses here.
You watching any anime right now?
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay.
We should geek, but we haven't talked about a lot of current or even old anime lately. We haven't been reviewing a lot of shows. We've been busy.
All right, so check this out. I watched a bunch of animes, but I will talk about Space Symphony Mytel, right? I watched the whole thing, and really, it's kind of nice because it's modern animation and pretty good production qualities.
There's a big butt hanging here.
What?
You said it's nice and there's a...
It's supposed to be a prequel to Galaxy Express 3.9.
Literal prequel or Matsumotoian prequel?
No, it's actually to the TV series. It's or the first movie. It's an actual prequel, and it makes sense.
All right.
The thing is the first part of the show itself isn't really consistent with itself. It's like, what the hell is going on? It's like 1 second it'll be like, Andromeda will be, cool, and then the next she'll be a bitch, and then she'll be cool again, and then a bitch, and then it's like, what is going on? And then it's like there's clones, but then there's not clones, but then it's the real one, but it's not the real one, and then it's like,
is that really continuity or just characters being all over the place?
It's just the characters. It's like the first part of the show.
Okay, it's not continuity like. The backstory was this. Now it's this.
No, it's like the show is all over the place for the first few episodes, and then they eventually sort of get in line, and then it's like, okay, now here's the actual thing, and then it stays. It's like it fluctuates crazily, and you're watching the first handful of episodes. You're like, just what? I thought that what? And then after a few episodes, finally it settles down. It's like, Well,
okay. I got to start up again, but I was watching Giant Robo with some people who haven't seen it. Judith and Natalie and Emily, so we got to watch the rest of that. But, Scott finished Hokuto no Ken quite some time ago, and I've been plowing along. I'm way behind. King Sama isn't even dead yet, but my favorite
How do you know
part,
he's going to die?
I'm pretty sure he's going to die. I'm pretty sure he is already dead. I'm at the part of the show where he's not just like, yeah, you go kill Kenshiro. He's like, fuck, Kenshiro's still coming. But my favorite
Wait till you
part
see the later. Oh my god!
is now we've gotten to the people. It's not just like Mohawk guys show up, attack Kenshiro, get killed. Now it's Mohawk guys show up, realize it's Kenshiro, say something like, there is a 100% chance I will die if I fight him, and run away. Of course, half the time, they never just surrender. If they surrender, it's always a trick, and Kenshiro's never tricked. If you lay down, you're like, I'm not going to fight you, Kenshiro. He's just going to throw a boulder at you. I don't know. I'm enjoying Fist of the North Star.
Where
quite
do
a
you
bit.
get to arcs that are more dangerous than the first arc?
I don't know. The God Army was pretty dangerous.
God Army is not dangerous at all.
The Jackal was pretty dangerous.
The Jackal is not dangerous at all.
The Jackal gets points.
It is much like Initial D. It is a show of escalating danger.
But the Jackal gets points just for the fact that if it were Initial D, that is the equivalent of Shingo after he fails to do his thing, pulling out dynamite, killing everyone at the finish line, and then burning down Mount Akina.
Yeah, wait till you see guys like Souther. He's a dangerous motherfucker. All right.
Yeah. Also, I haven't watched the Durara OAV. I don't even know if it's out yet. I don't think
that's out yet.
Yeah, but I'm hankering for some more. That was like the best new show in a long time.
I watched all of Eden of the East. You should watch that.
I really want to. There's not that long, is it?
No, it's only like 11 episodes, I think.
I should finish it. We got to do a show on it because that, and then I think I'm going to buy Ergo Proxy, and we really have to review that.
Yeah, we only watched X number. We had it on Netflix.
I remember talking to Daryl Surratt, and I was like, yeah, we watched this
We were watching
far.
it on Netflix, and we got far, but we didn't finish it.
Yeah, and then we we moved and all that stuff, and we just didn't. But the trouble is, I'm talking to Daryl Surratt, and he's like, wow, you stopped right before shit gets interesting.
Yeah, I know. That always seems to happen.
Yeah. He was like, there's a game show episode. It goes nuts.
Game show.
Yeah, game show episode.
All right.
I think it goes all Utena meta.
Oh, man.
Maybe Ava meta.
Oh, fuck.
Maybe Big O2 meta.
Tomatoes?
Nothing but tomatoes.
Whatever.
Wow, that was like one of the, I think that was the first show we did a Final Thoughts on.
What show?
Big O.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, things of the day. Because there's no anime news that isn't an Alzheimer news.
No, so check this out, right? There's a lot of bootleg shit out there, and it's always funny when someone finds like a bootleg toy, like Darth Vader riding the police motorcycle toy.
Yeah, I remember I was at, I think, Pearl River Mart with Emily years ago, and in the downstairs, they had these sandals with Naruto with the wrong colors, painted onto them.
Yeah, that's always good stuff. So this is going around the internet. I don't even know what this is. It's like a deck of cards or something, but it says like this LOG, and it's sort of like a combination of two Batman logos. This LOG.
League of...
I don't know. And then it says DM-104. It costs $1.50. It's got like two different Batmans on the cover and two different pictures of movie Batman, just like, photographs from the movie, like Photoshop, cropped Batman out. And it's got the Riddler from the movie, the Jim Carrey Riddler, and also looks like Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze's face in the bottom right corner.
Huh.
And then it says 2006, Batman Begins. But on the back is the awesome part. This is what it says on the back. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to read the whole...
What's the danger level here?
1,000. I'm going to read the whole thing.
1,000 space dangers.
It's a little bit long, but I'll read the whole thing. Batman Begins. When being a child, Bruce Wayne had witnessed with his own eyes the fact his parents of millionaire were killed cruelly. So affected his strong desire of revenging his parents. However, God had never given him a chance to fulfill his will. Following the advice of Ra's al Ghul, or Rays, I can't tell. It doesn't matter, they got it wrong. The chief of Ninja Group, Bruce come to Getty, which was a corrupted city filled with various crime groups. Bruce found a basement under his villa in which the equipment turned him into another person.
You know, this is-
Spider-Man. With this mask, Spider-Man stroke all criminal activates and criminals everywhere, such as Talgon, the chief of mafia, Dr. Jackstraw, the abnormal drug trafficker, even a mysterious opponents quite familiar with him, ..
Wow. That is, you know what that's very reminiscent of? I was made by the Presbyterian Church.
Oh, God.
Remember that?
No.
Backstroke of the West.
The backstroke of the West. We got to bring that back.
We do got to bring that back. Very no.
No.
Well, do not want. Anyway.
Do not want.
So since we weren't at Otakon, but the things I always miss from Otakon, like I guess always, this is the first Otakon I've
The first
missed.
thing you've ever missed from Otakon.
First Otakon I've ever
The thing
missed.
you missed the most not being there.
is the art show, because people don't that often take pictures of all the art in the art show because you're not supposed to. So the other thing I always miss is the opening animation, and sure enough, there's no way to see it as far as I can tell. I couldn't find any bootleg like cam cap of it or anything, but I did find randomly, I wish I realized this was here, the opening animation to last year's Otakon 2009. It looks like
I was under the impression that there was some rights issues and they couldn't put it out.
So it looks like as far as I can tell, it looks like this was put out by Otakon, and they couldn't put out 2008 and 2010, but 2009 has very few intellectual.
Is it really put out by Otakon? Are you sure that that's an
pretty sure.
You sure that's an official Otakon YouTube channel?
I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. It was linked to by an Otakon staffer in the forum, not this video, but this channel.
Okay.
So that's good enough for me. But this is the Otakon 2009 opening animation, in case you didn't see it. And I really want all their anime cons to do this, because the Daikon animation in this whole... Imagine if Otakon, they showed the Daikon animation and then showed...
You know, it'd be even... The thing is, Otakon is basically using its partnerships with Japanese animation studios to make
What if they
these.
just got some fans every year to make one?
What if they made it at the convention and showed it when the convention was over?
Do you know how fucking impossible that would be?
It could be like 30-second animation.
Do you know how fucking impossible that would be?
It could do it.
It takes a while to animate.
Especially if you had guys like, with skills, like the...
We're going to have enough trouble editing our thing for PAX together by Saturday night.
Some professionals are going to do it.
Yes. Okay. Anyway. And also, I have 2 things of the day, 2 links here, because that's cool. But here's a video. It is on the internet, so I'm going to link to it. It is video from the concert of Sugizo and Yoshiki.
The concert where there are absolutely no cameras or recording devices allowed.
There are a million freaking videos from Otakon 2010's concerts. So if you missed the concert, if you missed Otakon, you can go see the concerts on YouTube.
Even the Yoshida Brothers one?
I didn't actually look for that one. I just looked for the X Japan one because that's the one I was interested in.
I'm interested in the other one.
I've got Yoshida Brothers. Yeah, I'll see. I'll look right now.
It's not. I'm sure there's plenty of Yoshida Brothers, period, all over YouTube. So even if the Otakon one is not there.
Yeah, panel. Yeah, here it is. Q&A performance. Yeah, it looks like it's here.
All right. At least enough of it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the meta moment.
Are we roboting yet?
No.
Okay, Gen Con starts tomorrow.
Oh, crap.
You should go and see Luke and Jared there.
Yes, we will not
in
be
Indiana.
there.
I'm trying to cover the non-New York things. Mozilla Drumbeat is this Saturday in New York.
In New York?
Let's see.
So you didn't make a list ahead of time.
PAX is, I'm looking at my Google Calendar. It's my
All right.
list.
PAX is a month
PAX
from now,
is
Labor Day weekend. We're going to be there doing crazy shit.
Recess is the weekend after that. Maker Faire is 2 weeks after that. And then 10-10-10, that weekend is the Burning Con, but also the New York Comic Con, and also the New York Anime Festival, and also New York Nerd NYC Board Game Night.
Next week, there may or may not be shows because I'm going to be out of town at our annual writers retreat. Scott will not be at the writers retreat, so
Yep.
we'll see how much I write.
And then MagFest is next year. Woo!
MagFest. I don't believe
Going
we
to
should,
MagFest.
we should ever
where everyone has balls of steel.
we should never say woo in regards to MagFest. There's only one appropriate response, and that is hot. Hot.
All right.
And like I said, we're upgrading the studio equipment, so give it a week or two, and we're going to start bringing a lot more guests on the show because I'll basically quarter the time it takes to edit and do post-production on guest shows.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up in the ante there quite a bit.
Alrighty.
All right, so Thursday, Scott Pilgrim opens for me. And next Thursday, Scott Pilgrim opens for everyone else. So I figure we should do a final thoughts on the comic because it's one of the great comics we've read in recent memory.
That was my show idea.
Yeah.
It was not your show idea.
It's a Geek Night show idea, which shared responsibility.
It was the only comic that we had both read recently.
Yeah.
That is the reason it is the show.
I can't believe you didn't even read Awesomer
And it's final
2.
thoughts because we've already done a show.
All right, before we get to final thoughts and spoilers, here's the review. If you were between the ages of 17 and 31...
I don't know. The thing is, I've got like 40-year-old people who are reading it and digging it. It's sort of weird. Like, okay, let's discuss this whole issue, right? I was sort of under the opinion that, like, okay, there's only certain people who will get this, and like if you're too young or too old, you're just not incomprehensible. And to an extent, that's true. My grandma would never get it. My mom probably wouldn't even really get it. Right?
But yet, Emily's parents love it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, it's not really. There's no, like, there is definitely a subset of people who will get it. It doesn't have a universal appeal of something like Star Wars where everyone gets it. It definitely is limited, but it is also broader than you would suspect. Like, a lot of people are would think, oh, this is only for 20 to 30-year-olds who grew up with NESs and no one else is going to even understand anything. And that's not true.
Who it's really for is there's a kind of specific culture and upbringing that together can create the kind of person who will appreciate Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I definitely think even though some, like Emily's parents might enjoy it, there's no doubt that they view it differently than we view it.
They have to. But at the same time, I would argue that the core message of Scott Pilgrim is timeless for anyone who had those experiences. And the video gamey, all that,
yeah,
all the other
it's a
aspects
timeless
of it.
message, but it's presented in a non-timeless manner.
Oh, yeah, but the core message, I think, comes through no matter what. So I think, really, anyone who is astute and had those experiences appreciates Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. The thing is, I have a feeling that unlike, say, a Will Eisner or, a Karl Barks or... a Tezuka, right? This is not a timeless work. Like 100 years from now, most people are probably going to read it and go, what the fuck? It's not the kind of thing that people will be able to read a long time from now and it'll still work.
Well, what'll be interesting is to go back, 50 years from now and see what else did Brian Lee O'Malley do, and will Scott Pilgrim be like, this is where it all began?
Well, he's like in his mid-late 30s, right?
Yeah, he's got some time.
Yeah, so, there is definitely, it's not like 31. That's
and of
way
course,
too young,
to be clear, a lot of people don't realize he's done other stuff.
Yeah, what was that other thing he did? The one with the sad girl on the cover.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it.
Sad Girl in Snow. Wait, that's Fred Gallagher.
The wrong person, yeah. No, he's a comic artist. He's done a lot of comics.
Yeah, and he'll be
he's
doing
more. I hope. I hope he doesn't just like roll around in his movie monies.
But I
don't think he's that kind of guy. I've met him a couple times, and he's chill. He's not one of those crazy kind of.
I guess
dudes.
the best way to review not just the comic, but before we get into the spoilers and the final thoughts, because I really want to get right to that and just spoil, because that's the discussion we all want to have. The whole Scott Pilgrim franchise has been handled almost, I would argue, maybe better than any other similarly potentialed franchise has ever been handled. We have to see the movie, see the video game to see for sure, but look at what happened. The comic resonated among a certain fan group, like many things do. And anytime there's something like that, we're nerds. We sit around and say, man, what if they made a movie about Scott Pilgrim?
Well, it's weird because Oni didn't really do anything like to promote it that, they don't do for any other comic, right? It's not like they put Scott Pilgrim like all over the fuck, right? They just put it out just like they put out every other Oni comic, and I've got other Oni comics, like what was that one, Wonton Soup, right? They put that out and they had the same promotion as, Scott Pilgrim did. They never really pushed it hard. They didn't, it was just out the same as every other comic. Yet it sort of picked up on its own and became crazy huge.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about crazy huge. I'm talking about more. So look at this. They make the comic. Nerds sit around whenever there's a comic or something they like and say, man, wouldn't it be awesome if they just made a sequel like this? What if they made the movie and got so-and-so to play? It seems like everything nerds who were fans of this said, wouldn't it be awesome if, is basically what they did. What if they made a movie? Yeah, they should get like Michael Cera to star in it. Oh, they got Michael Cera. oh, what if they made a video game? And it was like, oh, they made the video game. They made it exactly.
Well, we were saying that guy, the Cabana Battle guy, we were saying he should just, we were always disappointed that he basically made
Pirate Baby Cabana Battle should have been a game.
Yeah, why wasn't it a game?
So Nerd said, man, what if the Pirate Baby Cabana Battle guy? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Well,
we know it won't happen.
It was like we wanted him to just make a game, period. And then we wanted a Scott Pilgrim game, period. And then they combined two unfulfilled potentials into one. They, that would be like if, you made a new, new Super Metroid game, right? But it was also like, reviving some long,
Wow, that was a terrible example. It didn't go anywhere.
I couldn't think of any good example. I failed.
So, but it's every step of the way. Nerds, man, the video game, what if they got Anamanaguchi to do the music? Yeah, they just fucking did that.
I don't like Anamanaguchi that much.
I do.
I've seen him live a few times. I don't know. I don't understand why people...
No, I really like them. I don't like them live, but I like their music on its own.
Oh, I've listened to it on the YouTubes a couple times. I'm not a fan.
It's good music for Scott Pilgrim, though.
Probably. It's all right.
But
it's only for the video game they're doing the music, right?
Yes.
They're not doing the movie music.
No.
Someone else is.
But that's kind of... They've taken all the things that nerds would say, wouldn't it be awesome if, and done the equivalent things.
There are some nerds out there who are like, they should have done a different thing,
I'm not arguing there aren't, but the majority of the kinds of things they did, like Michael Cera, getting him was like the crazy nerd choice. And the fact that they actually did it was just surprising.
Mm. Yeah, I get the feel. It's one of those things where, I don't think it's, they did everything that nerds wanted perfectly, but I think it's definitely a situation where usually when a nerdy thing is adapted, especially into a movie, the nerds...
When they made the Doom movie, what did nerds want? They're like, yeah, is it going to be set on Mars? Is it going to be about a space marine?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's these kinds of things, right? The nerds are like, how much does it match the original? And in this case, they have matched the original, enough to where there are no like super huge complaints. Like even like Watchmen movie, people got something to complain about, or Spider-Man movie, they got something to complain about. But there's
organic web shooters, I mean.
Exactly, right? So with Scott Pilgrim, nothing's perfect, but there is far proportionally less to complain about than with any other nerd adaptation.
I mean, the only person who could possibly play Scott Pilgrim better than Michael Cera is probably our friend Conrad.
I don't know.
I can think of few people better.
The thing is, that guy, he doesn't really even...
What movies have you seen with him in them?
We saw I remember he's the Arrested Development kid, right?
Yeah.
I think the one thing...
So what else have you seen with him in it?
I'm sure.
Do you know anything about him?
I'm sure I have, but I just don't, remember that.
No,
but
you
the
probably
point
haven't.
is that he's always sort of like, Scott Pilgrim is sort of like excitable. Like, yeah. And he doesn't seem, he has all the other qualities of Scott Pilgrim, except the sort of excitable quality. Like they need to give him like a caffeine injection for a few of the scenes, and then it'll be all right.
See, I think they will. This is actually, I think, a big test for him. We're going to find out, can he alter his like milieu? Can he act differently? Can he pull off Scott Pilgrim, or will he be Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim?
Well, other people have seen the movie already, plenty.
And no one's said.
That's one thing that I think they're doing really interesting with this marketing, right, for the movie, is the movie's been done for a while.
And there have been so many screenings of it.
There are so many pre-release screenings all over the fucking place like crazy, which I think is like a genius idea. Why isn't everyone doing that for anything that's popular, especially for something that's so nerdy is going to be passed around the Pirate Bays, right? Obviously, you should just get the screenings out there, because what's keeping the movie from being released? It's, why don't they put it out a day earlier? Well, because they need to get the reels of film or whatever to every movie theater at once.
Screw that. DLP
but if
is the future.
they definitely have one made by now. They have a bunch. They just don't have enough for every theater. So as they're sending them out, they're like, okay, dude, do a preview. You got one in your theater.
I don't think that's...
Do a freaking preview
Scott,
screening.
I don't think that's it at all, because at least in all the cities, digital projection is becoming the standard.
Yeah, but even so, they mail hard drives to every theater.
Yeah, but
they don't do it where you download it from the internet.
They've been doing pre-screenings far longer than it takes to ship the movie out to everywhere. I don't think that's it. I think it's more a long-term buzz-building system.
That also, it's many birds with one stone.
Because look what else, Serenity did that too. There were a fucking million screenings of Serenity before it was in theaters.
I definitely think you need to do that for nerd movies. Otherwise, people will just get their preview screenings on the internet. And at least when you do a preview screening in a theater, you can get some monies. Right.
No, you don't pay for these screenings unless you get someone else to pay for like the pre-screen tickets and give them away.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? The people who are giving away the tickets are not, there's money being changed hands.
Maybe,
here.
maybe
the
not.
The movie theater isn't just letting all these people come in for free.
No,
and,
yes, money.
You know
but
what?
Scott, what we don't know is who is paying. We don't know if the production company is paying or if like Midtown Comics paid for the tickets for themselves.
No, we don't
away.
know that. But you know what I do know? Popcorn monies. They're making money.
No one buys popcorn. Notice at Inception, other than a few fat people, no one bought shit. Everyone smuggled stuff in.
Yeah, that's just because it happens to be next to a Dwayne Reed, that particular theater. It's a bad location
See,
to open up.
If I were
Notice
Dwayne
how a
Reed,
lot of the multiplexes, like think about Tinseltown, right? Tinseltown is out in the middle
Scott, it's not
of
a lot of
giant parking
multiplexes.
lot.
It's just multiplexes that aren't in cities.
Yeah,
Look at any theater in the city.
They put him out in the woods, separate from everything else with a giant parking lot so that there's no drugstore right next to it.
No, they do that because the land's cheap and people can drive.
That too, but it's also so that, there's no...
No, I don't think
if there was a candy store right next to the movie theater, it'd be like, all right, fuck, we're screwed.
So if Dwayne Reed were smart, they would open Dwayne Reed movie editions next to every theater and sell smuggleable goods.
They basically have that. I mean, you just have to be smart
I would advertise. I'd be like, smuggle this shit into the theater. I'd sell flat drink containers.
Oh, man, beer bellies.
Yes.
Right in the...
I'd even
Thing
rent.
is, you're not allowed to... You're not... You can't get drunk in a movie theater. That's bad.
Yeah, you can.
That's not allowed.
You can't. No, it's not any more not allowed than smuggling in my do-si-dos.
Your do-si-do.
I don't even know what a do-si-do is.
You getting drunk on the do-si-dos?
I guess if I soaked him in Jack.
You're gonna make a loud do-si-do ruckus and barf the do-si-dos on the
That's
guy
also
next
one thing
to
we
you?
don't get in New York that bothers me, but the Texans get it. The adult-only theater with the fine dining and the movie at the same time. Mm-hmm. Why don't we have that?
Because the space versus money is not a good
I know, but I
equation.
want it. I would be willing to pay a lot for that.
Not enough people will agree with you.
Yeah, but I do. I mean, this is
All
a
right,
city.
so you know what? I got one for you. It's right over in the other room. It's an adult only.
So you gonna cook for me?
Yeah, if you pay me whatever you were gonna pay that movie theater.
Okay, but one thing: if I pay you Sparks money, I expect Sparks quality.
I'll just you got to pay me a little plus Sparks money because you're getting a movie too, and then I'll go to Sparks and keep the profit, and I'll go to the Sparks, I'll bike it back over here, or I'll take a cab.
Yes, now my steak's cold. Great.
I'll put it in the microwave.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great steak.
It'll actually probably be really good.
Probably not,
No,
because the point of the raw steak is that it's sizzling hot and blackened on the outside, and it is cool and raw on the inside.
On my way over there, I'll mug the Pizza Hut guy and take his little insulator.
Nah. All right, Scott Pilgrim. We are going to spoil the ever-living shit out of the
all
comic.
volumes 1 through 6.
Yes, all of it. We're going to spoil it. Do not listen. Seriously.
Actually, no. Just if you're like haven't read it all, what the fuck? Seriously.
Go read it and then listen to this episode.
Like right now, like pause the episode and read it all, and then unpause the episode.
I was not surprised when Scott Pilgrim died.
Me either.
But I like how they handled that. He's like, am I dead? No. Actually, yeah, you are dead. And then he only came back because of the extra life.
Yeah. No, I mean, the extra life was such a Chekhov's extra life.
Yeah.
There was no, the thing is, it's weird. Like, I don't know if I should admit this, but basically I made a sort of a mistake. I read each volume as it came out, and I never reread any volumes. So I forgot many details. And it was basically each volume I was almost like starting anew, and I didn't remember everything from the previous volumes, and I only remembered like the most biggest important information, and I didn't really remember a lot of the small stuff. Like, I remember the one up, but I didn't remember like a lot of other things at all. Like had the glow, right? Everyone was glowing, and I was listening to some reviews that other people did of the early episodes. Like Comic Geek Speak just did a review of the first 2 volumes, right? Because they had never read it at all, and they actually mentioned specifically having read only volume 1 and 2, like, why is she glowing? And I was like, I didn't even notice it. And only in volume 6 right? But if I had read them all at once again, and I probably will read all 6 just in a row.
I plan to read them all again.
Then it would stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, or things like, I think a lot of people actually forgot about Simon and that whole, prelude. Because that came back in a big way at the end.
Yeah, I don't really remember that either.
What? Really?
No.
How are we even going to... What do you remember? It's like you never remember anything from stuff we watch.
I remember there was a guy named Scott Pilgrim. He had a band. He was going out.
So, Scott, remember in the beginning, the River City Ransom, where he saved Kim Pine from Simon on the roof?
Yeah.
In their backstory?
Oh, that was in the backstory. You see,
Yeah. And remember at the end, what it turned out to be? He was just some nerd, and it was just, the whole time we have all these like memories that we take as true. Like, that's the way it was. And Volume 6 basically said, no, here's the reality. Here's what really happened. People just forget.
So that's what happens when you read Volume 1 like over a year before you read Volume 6.
I don't have this problem, so.
I had this problem. That's why I get trade paperbacks and I don't get the individual issues. Because you get the individual issues, it's like, you read, it's basically an issue a month. So by the time, if something's 5 issues, it's 5 months since you've read the first issue. And you read so many comics, it's like...
So I will say I was wrong about the glow. All through the whole series until the end, when you find out what all that was about, I thought that the glow kind of symbolized going back to the real world. And I thought this was all going to be some sort of weird world.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's sort of, we're poisoned with that, right? From seeing too many things where anytime,
Yo, dog, I heard you like to dream, so I put a dream in your dream.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil like 10 things right now, but there are a lot of...
We can spoil whatever we want.
You want to spoil like Utena?
Yeah. Big O. We're spoiling Big O.
Yeah, there's so many things that we've watched, especially animes, where there's a world where crazy shit, that magic happens, and then at the very end of the show, it's actually not. You thought it was a fantasy world this whole time, but it's not a fantasy world. It's a real world, and here's a real explanation for all that shit you saw that looked like fantasy, but guess what? It's not fantasy. And so of course, reading Scott Pilgrim, when you've got people going like through dimensions to deliver Amazon boxes.
Or when Kim Pine disappeared, or not Kim Pine, when she disappeared, Ramona, all I thought was she's in the real world now.
Yeah. Stuff like that, anytime magical shit happens, like, okay, that one-up actually just came out of nowhere. Okay, the skateboard proficiency thing, it's like, okay, there's obviously crazy magical shit. There's obviously some sort of real-world explanation for this. It's not actually for reals no, it actually is. They live in some sort of magical world. That's what Scott Pilgrim's about. It looks a lot like the real world, but it actually has video game fights in it. It's that kind of place.
One way to interpret all that, though, would be to interpret, as that is the way the world is seen by the characters. I mean, look at the otaku in the van in Durara. Their whole thing about how they see the world and like the way the world is through their eyes. You could argue that Scott Pilgrim's the same way. I mean, look at us. I think about the world in those terms. That guy's got an 18 charisma. Yeah, I leveled up in baking food.
The thing is, I think in Scott Pilgrim, it definitely, story-wise, like, I think those things do literally happen, but that doesn't mean that they are also, not a metaphor for,
Exactly, and that is why Utena and Big O and all these things are so good.
It's like, just because something it's like, people think that just because... like, something has to not actually happen for it to be a metaphor somehow.
They're like,
no.
is it a cigar or is it a cock? Is it a cock? And you know what? It could be both.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an illusionary...
Could be a cigar-shaped cock.
It doesn't have to be an illusion of a cigar on top of a cock. It can actually just be an actual cigar that someone actually smoked, and it's still a metaphor for sucking the cock.
And this is why Scott Pilgrim is, I think, it's not one of the greatest comics of all time, but I would argue it's a great comic. Not great in the, it is great sense, not just, it was great.
Yeah, I mean...
Because it is self-consistent on both the direct level and the metaphorical level. Yeah, and obviously this was intentional.
Yeah, the other things I like about it is it's sort of a penny arcade situation, right? You get to see Brian Lee O'Malley improve his skills.
Yes, Dev, I flipped through Scott Pilgrim 1 again, and I like it. It's still one of my favorite volumes, but the art looks way different in 6.
Yeah, compare the early penny...
Notice how, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but... At least at some point he figured out, notice in the end how he showed you all the different ways he's drawn Ramona through the whole series and how he made that matter.
Yeah.
I wonder if he intended that going in or if he just sucked at drawing.
It doesn't matter. It was.
Oh, exactly.
It's clever, so it wins.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. I mean, Your Highness is like a golden ray.
Okay.
I don't think anyone will get that.
No. Yeah. It's Scott Pilgrim. I mean, if I had to put it on like a chart of like comics, like it wouldn't be anywhere near like an Eisner or a Tezuka or even a Black Sad, right? It's down below all those guys, but it's above like Spider-Man you read every week, way above that.
It's not saying that much. It's above a lot of the, you know what? It's above a lot of the like good manga I've read.
Yeah, it's like you got Urasawa. It's like one step under Urasawa. Scott Pilgrim. It's like that's where he is.
I'd put him in the same class. Like if Urasawa is a B+, then Scott Pilgrim is
It's
B.
like, you know what? It's just as good. It's equal to like Yotsuba and Azumanga Daioh. That's
same
what-
level of enjoyment.
Yeah, it's
Similar. They both speak to me on the same level. Of course, Yotsuba does not have the metaphor and the
Well, I think the
reality
thing is
intertwined.
right. You look at Scott Pilgrim, and there's some people who've actually been saying stupid shit like Scott Pilgrim is slice of life, and it's like, what the hell's wrong with you? See, Yotsuba is slice of life, right? You look at it, and it's like Yotsuba goes to the farm. Yotsuba goes to the florist. Yotsuba rides a bicycle. You know, it's like there isn't a big story of Yotsuba. There is no, epic tale where she's going to get deported back to where the, tropical island she came from or anything like that. It's just slices of life. They're all totally separate, and it's just, here's her doing this, and here's her Azumanga Daioh is the same way. We're in high school, and we're going on vacation, we're driving in a car, we're fighting over a pillow. It's just random life stuff. It doesn't really have any over plot to it. Scott Pilgrim has moments of slice of life that are slices, but those moments are all to introduce you to the characters or to the plot.
Yes, to say that
For
it is
example,
slice of
we're
life
eating
is stupid. That's to like make these broad, useless categories for
we
everything.
have bacon, therefore everything does not suck.
That is like my third favorite moment in the entire series.
So, right? That is a slice of life. Is we're just chilling, making awesome bacon breakfast.
That was a slice of bacon.
Yes, but it is a slice nonetheless. But the whole book is not just slices of eating bacon. The whole book is fighting 7 evil ex-boyfriends, and there's actual acts with a climax and a denouement, and there's a story. Yotsuba doesn't really have that. Anything that's a slice of life is just, there's no acts. I mean, maybe each individual slice might sort of have an act.
It's
but
stupid
not
to call it
really.
slice of life. It kind of it removes the usefulness of the term slice of life.
Yeah, people are just, they don't know what they're saying.
Slice of not life is a code for something like Yotsuba or something that sucks.
There are slices of life that do not suck.
There are.
Yeah. But the other thing is a lot of people get confused between like slice of life and autobiography. It's like, look, you can have an
that's not
autobiographical slice of
An
life.
autobiography isn't a slice of life. It's the whole life.
It's a chunk of life. Or chunks.
I don't know, chunks of
You
life.
could have a slice of life that is autobiographical. If someone just tells you slices of their life but doesn't tell you the whole life, then it is, there's both.
I guess it could be the whole life if nothing fucking happens to the dude.
Then why would anyone read his autobiography? He's so lame.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim, I don't know. I really like Kim Pine.
Everyone likes Kim Pine. Kim Pine is number 1.
Yes.
Everyone else is number 10.
I also really like Knives Chow.
I don't really like Knives Chow.
I really like Knives Chow for a lot of reasons. Especially in the end, I kind of like how the last volume, like everything shifted and she kind of got her act together. And I like how they had the closure in their moment.
That's one thing that I like is how there's no one, sometimes in the end of something, it's like there's people who are still stupid, right? But in this, everyone is no longer stupid.
Except Gideon.
But he's not.
He's dead.
He's not really stupid.
He's dead, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's, he wasn't really,
he was misguided and evil.
Yeah, but he wasn't, stupid or he had his shit together. He just had a bad goal. He was, mean and bad. He was a bad dude, but he wasn't an incompetent bad dude. He was a malicious bad dude. He knew what he doing.
More of an Akio.
Yeah, right? It's like you're not like, sitting there going, oh man, I wish Gideon would turn good or anything.
You're like, oh man, I wish Gideon would get the shit kicked out of him.
Right. But everyone else.
I love the scene at the end where he's like, were you watching me through the cat? Are you the cat? And he's like, no, I wasn't the cat. What? You named the cat Gideon? And Ramona's like, shut up.
Everyone else, right, were characters that you liked that were good people, but they had flaws. And then they mostly all fixed themselves. And it's like,
you know what it was?
You
Everyone
didn't stay, when someone stays stupid, it's just like, you ever watch the comedy movies like Dumb and Dumber types, where there's someone who's just so dumb and they stay dumb? It's just like, I guess when I was in like a teenager, that was funny because it was just so poop humor. But nowadays, it's just like you seeing someone so stupid, it's like, oh my god, stop being stupid, oh my god, he's so stupid. And Scott Pilgrim, it's like you got these likable people that are only a little stupid, so you don't have that feeling. But it's like, get your shit together.
Well,
dude.
everyone gets their badminton moment.
That's
like
right.
That badminton scene is distributed. I mean, the way they handle Envy, I really like her character in the end.
Oh yeah,
Like seeing how it all turned out, and that I don't know, that whole scene was pretty cool in the club because I like how everyone else just
the
kind of
club
chilling
was
there.
pretty much that was it.
Yeah.
It was like Everybody up in the club. Yes, awesome. Even Wallace is up in the club.
Of course Wallace was up in the club. Wallace is a man.
Wallace is probably number 2 after Kim Pine.
Yeah, Wallace,
Knives Chow, she's way down, way below.
No, she's like number 3.
100.
She's down. She's up there.
Nah. I don't know. I don't know why you're a Knives Chow fan.
I don't know. I am. I'm a fan of.
I mean, I'll take freaking like Young Neil over Knives Chow.
Really?
Yeah.
I think my order would be. It'd be a race.
Why are we like ranking the characters?
Because we
don't do
them.
that for like other stuff, right?
We did for shows we really, really liked in the past. Like in Utena, we did the same shit. I
think it's just that
Togo is fucking awesome.
The show really is about this cast of characters, and there's so many supporting characters,
and they're all awesome.
And so it's like you end up caring about some of these supporting characters because they're so good.
I think part of the reason we care about them too is that while a lot of them are kind of one-dimensional or they're not super characterized, their interactions with each other and with Scott and with the other characters, like the main characters, were very realistic in terms of that world. Like, take their conversations and replace the proper nouns with your own group's inside joke proper nouns. And that's exactly how the front row crew interacts most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, you look at Scott Pilgrim himself, and it's like, what does he really do so much? You know, it's like a lot of times he's just basically, you know, like the bouncing off target for every supporting character.
Because he hadn't found his own. All the other characters had found their own or were seeking their own. He was not seeking or
So
having.
it's like you're really looking at all these supporting people. You know, Scott Pilgrim is the one who's always got the camera on him most of the time, but you're really looking at all these supporting characters bouncing off of him constantly.
You know what
so you
show
end
did
up
that?
caring about them a lot because they are like, you know, the plot arcs are them, and you know,
Nana did that too. We liked both Nanas, and if time went on, one Nana never fucking did anything, and the other Nana was doing stuff. So eventually, you're kind of like watching all these characters, and you're kind of leaving the one character behind. Scott Pilgrim had to come of age. And, you know, all the metaphors that are obvious in Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, many obvious things. Yeah, I guess that's one negative thing you could say about it is it's not really subtle. It's just obvious.
But it's while it's not subtle, it isn't just coming of age. It really gets into the nature of relationships in that not for everybody. Not every culture goes through this. I think many people in the previous generation never had the same kind of scope of life. Especially in the 20s to 30s. I mean, look at all these people. They're a lot like us. You know, you have your awesome life, or you're kicking ass. You're the high school, you know, nerd running around. And then you get to college. You live this nerd life in college. And then you're in the real world. And you still have like your last set of relationships were the college nerd life. Mm-hmm. And you haven't moved on to anything past that. And I think a lot of people have had relationships that went very similarly. I mean, a lot of people have the issue of, I like every girl. I mean, that was Gideon's problem in the end. He liked every girl, and he never gave up on any one of them. And you know what? Scott Pilgrim had the same problem.
Yep.
Exactly. Straight up.
Except Scott Pilgrim had a much, not that difficult a time. I mean, he just walked out to Ramona, was like, hey, you want to go out? I was like, okay.
Yeah, but even then, he still, he had feelings for all these other people, and there was no closure with any of those people. That's the dangerous combination. He had no closure with people like Knives or Envy or even Kim, and simultaneously, he had no closure with his current relationship. Mm-hmm. Nothing was done, and everything was a loose thread. Gideon wanted every thread to be his forever. Scott Pilgrim tied all the threads up.
Yep.
And totally made
Eventually.
out. Notice how he made out with almost everyone?
Yeah, that's why he's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to get closure, to be honest.
You know, you didn't actually see Gideon actually making out with anybody, really.
No, but you know, yeah. He was kind of a dick.
We got anything else to... one other thing is a lot of people, right, they got to shut up as they're like, oh, man... This comic is about these hipsters. Look, these kids...
They're not hipsters.
These are not hipsters. You do not know... If you think that those are hipsters, you don't know what hipsters are.
Those are basically they're in the same... they're on the Venn diagram with, the front row crew and, you listeners. That is, nerd 20 to 30 something.
Yeah, they're not hipsters. If you don't know what hipsters are, go to, Google image search and look for hipster. And there's
just go to Park Slope.
No, Park Slope has got lots of Jews.
Also a lot of hipsters.
And rich people.
All right, cross the Williamsburg Bridge.
Yeah, you'll see
on a Friday.
You'll see some hipsters
or a
over
Saturday.
there. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the problem, I think, is this term hipster is being thrown around a lot, but a lot of people, they don't, hipsters live in cities. They don't really live anywhere else. So a lot of people most people don't ever actually see hipsters ever. And so they don't even know what hipster means, because you don't really see hipsters, I guess, like, in popular culture, in like movies all that much. What's a movie with hipsters in it?
There's a ton of hipster movies, but they're all...
Yeah, you don't see them in like, major movies really, that are in the movie theater. Inception didn't have any hipsters in it.
No, it didn't.
Not
at all.
It's like, Scott Pilgrim doesn't have any in it. So people don't really know what hipster is. They just start calling hipsters to something they see that they think, oh, that must be hipster. All right.
I mean, basically the characters in Scott Pilgrim, I'd qualify them as nerd or geek, kind of hip, not hipster.
Yeah, just because someone's hip doesn't make you a hipster.
Yeah.
A hipster wears tight-ass jeans, rides a bicycle that's, got no brakes on it.
Drinks the Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Works
a job that's dead end, but they don't care because they make enough money to do whatever they want.
Or
their trust fund.
They got a trust fund and they sit around like playing, video poker all day.
And you know what? Also, this is an aside. There's nothing wrong with hipsters. I think the reason people are so threatened by hipsters, and I see like talking to coworkers and people, I figured it out. They see a hipster. Forget the trust fund hipsters. Talk about the normal hipster.
An actual hipster.
Actual, normal, non-trust fund hipster.
All right.
They've decided to eschew some long-term corporate career. They're working at like Starbucks.
All right.
They're making enough money for rent and fun.
They got like 5 roommates.
And they've decided rent and fun is going to be their whole life. Is there anything wrong with that? Anyone who hates that is jealous of that.
Well, I think the thing is the vast majority of them are the trust fund kind. There's almost none that are the other kind.
No, I think it's about 50-50.
I think you are greatly underestimating the number of people with trust funds. I've seen multiple companies. It's actually a hot market of making things to help parents manage the trust funds because there are lots of them.
No, so I think here's what's going on. I still think the majority of hipsters are non-trust fund directly. However, I think every core of hipsters, like 6 hipsters living in one apartment, I think one of them is the nucleus with the trust fund and the others are sponges.
Yo, you're greatly... I know for a fact that the number of trust funds is
yes,
scarily
but the
high.
number of hipsters, there's so many. I think
there really are. No, that's what I'm saying. It's pretty close. A lot of these kids, they're just, even if they don't have a trust fund, basically their parents pay their rent and then all their stuff. So they just bum around, but they don't want to live with their parents.
So even with the trust fund, what's better? The guy whose parents pays for him, who lives the hipster life, or the guy whose parents pay for him, who eats bologna and white bread and plays video games all day?
Those are both, bad. You should have your own monies.
Why? If I've got free money forever.
Because now you don't have your shit together.
Who cares?
You're like Scott Pilgrim and kick your ass out.
What if I've got my shit together on every other facet of my life except money, and money's coming in forever?
You suck.
Yeah. Because you want that.
No, I don't.
What if you won the lottery and you won that $50,000 a year for life?
I would do something with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit around playing video poker and drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon all day.
No, but I'd sit around playing Counter-Strike and drinking Chimay all day.
I wouldn't. That would be a waste.
I'd also podcast a lot.
Yeah, that's doing something.
Anyway.
Hipsters don't do anything.
Sometimes they do. They go to bars and they talk about...
Maybe they're in a band. No, they're not.
I like in the end how now Scott Pilgrim's band sucks.
Yeah.
That really, that was the coming of age. My band sucks and I don't care.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Sex Bomb was actually supposed to be that good either.
No, they were powerful, but not good.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were, touring the country or anything.
I think one thing I want to touch on, we've talked about this a couple of times, a lot of people have a very specific complaint about Scott Pilgrim. And the complaint they always make is the video game, they liked, most of us who like Emily's parents and everyone, maybe they get the references, maybe they don't, but they like the core message, the story, the metaphor, the world, all that stuff. But I think a lot of people who were disappointed with the ending, in fact, I think most people who were disappointed with the ending didn't get the core message or didn't have the kind of life to where they would understand on a personal level the core message. And as a result, their primary enjoyment was the fight scenes and the humor and the video game references.
And there's a lot of people who enjoy it on that level.
And the people who enjoyed it on that level, I can see why they would be very unsatisfied with the ending. They're like, the end wasn't epic enough. And That's bullshit. The ending was basically perfect.
What other ending could you really have? I mean, that's the best ending you could have.
But they're like, I wanted a bigger fight, and I wanted more video games things.
It was a big fight.
They wanted a bigger fight, and they wanted more video game things. How much bigger could it be? They basically didn't care about the metaphor.
You gotta one up. How much more video game do you want?
They wanted more video game shit, and they didn't get the core message.
See, I think that's the other thing is that, you don't see having video game shit like that too often. There really isn't that much of it. And there's a lot of it, like in volume 1, but a lot is like 2 or 3 things.
And half the people who make this
it's like
complain,
a River City Ransom coin and a skateboard and a 1-up. And
I defy.
There's like 3 things.
I defy most of the people who have complained about the end of Scott Pilgrim from even knowing what Clash at Demon Head is.
Yeah, right? So that's like, okay, so there are 3 video game things in a whole volume. There's not a lot of video game stuff going on. It's just a little bit. But somehow people inflate it to think like, oh, there's so much of it. Holy crap. It's just all about video game references.
I think my favorite moment.
There aren't that many.
My favorite moment in the entire thing, other than the cat thing at the end, was, wow, now a bunch of them are coming to my head. Oh no, I could just talk about it forever. We'll do the movies you should see thing where we just say all the things we liked and quote it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually forgot what I was about to say. No, Bacon was good, but it wasn't great. It was when Knives Chow, her moment of closure with Scott Pilgrim was, you will always be my Clash at Demon Head.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because that is such the perfect line. Think about it. The nostalgic first video game or memory of something that if you actually went back and played it for real is a piece of shit. But at the same time, it was important to your development as a person. Mm-hmm. The memory of it is important to you. And that's it. Playing a game like Clash at Demon Head, you don't want to play that now. But
you don't want to watch He-Man now.
Your memory of playing it and your memory of watching it are very important. And they shaped you as a person.
Yep, I had a lot of Masters of the Universe figures. And when I see them, I still go, oh man.
I played a lot of really shitty NES and Atari games to the point of being scarily good at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play them now.
No, like if I break out the NES emulator, like there's some games in there that I can play, like Kirby's Adventure or Super Mario 3.
You're not playing no Bunga's Ambition.
Well, I mean, that's a different category, but I mean, Mega Man's I can play, but
Mega Man 1,
Metroid you can play.
Mega Man 1.
Yeah, why not? But there are a lot of unplayable games like
Cheetah Man. You know what's fitting?
Like Kung Fu Heroes, right? I played that game when I was a kid, and I played it quite a bit, but it's pretty much unplayable now. I mean, it's not totally broken as like the Cheetah Man level, but it's pretty bad. And but I have fond memories of it, but I can't really play it now.
So I'm really looking forward to the movie. Like, I'm looking forward to this movie almost as much as I was looking forward to like NS2.
I'm not looking forward to that much. I'm more looking...
Not as much as I was looking forward to Team Fortress 2,
The only movie
fuckers.
I'm still looking forward to is Tron. I put all my eggs in one basket. The Tron basket.
I'm looking forward to Tron, but I don't expect it to be better than Tron.
Well, much like Clash at Demon Head, right? Tron, the story of the original Tron movie is really bad.
Here's something that bothers me about Tron. So the arcade guy was complaining. He's basically like, I made that game and that jerk stole it, and now the kids are putting all their money into his game in my arcade. It's his arcade. He's the one making the money. What the fuck?
The story of Tron is really dumb. It doesn't hold up at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
The special effects don't really hold up that much.
No,
but
they do.
They were revolutionary at the time.
They hold up in the same way that the Daikon animation holds up. You watch it, and if you understand what it is awe-inspiring to see what they pulled off.
Yes, but the thing with Tron, right, is I don't expect the plot. I mean, there's a new trailer out that shows you some of the plot. It's basically...
You know what I expect? I expect to see some fucking light cycles.
Yeah, it's a generic and blah plot. It's probably not going to be something that's like, oh my gosh, it might have a twist ending or something like that, but big deal. The reason that I am holding all the eggs in the basket for Tron, right, is because A, Daft Punk music, B, 3D, IMAX, holy shit, blow your brains out.
Wait, now think about this. Scott Pilgrim. Man, wouldn't it be awesome if they got like Anamanaguchi to do the music for the game? Tron. Man, what if they got like Daft Punk to do the music for Tron?
They did. And, right, fucking... If I could go into any sort of world, that I would live in the Tron world.
Really? Tron world?
Yes. If there's any fictional world that
Not Forgotten Realms?
I would not pick Forgotten Realms. You might be a peasant.
What about Inception?
No.
Yo, dog.
All right. Of all the fictional
Scott,
worlds.
Matrix, if you're Neo.
No.
Why not?
No. I would rather be in Tron World.
What if Tron is just the alpha version of the Matrix?
I'd be in Tron World. Tron World is the world to be in. Disc throwing, bike
Hey,
riding.
Scott, Yahtzee.
Plus, didn't you see in the trailer, it looks like there's a new flying thing. So it's like, there might be a third Tron sport.
I kind of want to play some Ricochet suddenly.
I want to play Ricochet all the time. That's why I want to go to Tron World.
I also think that light water tasted really freaking good.
Oh, probably, yeah. Damn. My water ran out. I'm getting warm.
All right, I think we're done. Scott Pilgrim.
Hopefully, Brian Lee O'Malley will make another hit and not retire.
I don't think I can do it. I wonder if I can get him on the show. I'll email him.
We got a few hops away from him on the the degrees.
Yeah, it was funny when I was like, I got movies to see the pre-screening, and everyone was like, oh yeah, because of Geeknights, and I was like, no, because I won a Twitter contest.
Because I read Midtown Comics. Way to go, Midtown Comics.
Yeah.
Good
Midtown Comics.
Very good comic
You basically
book store.
bought an ad with us by giving me tickets to Scott Pilgrim.
No, Midtown Comics, they can have an ad anytime. It's a quality store.
Well, that's the thing. This is why we're so good at advertising things when we do. Like Burning Wheel sells so much when we talk about it.
I can advertise anything that is legitimately I believe in. If I don't believe in it and it sucks, I can't advertise it.
So maybe
for
our
shit.
system should be: you give us 10 grand, we review your thing privately, and then we review it honestly.
If it's good.
No, we review it.
Otherwise, your 10 grand is down the hole.
We review it honestly, 100%.
Someone's gonna be pretty pissed off though if they pay us, money to advertise,
better,
and we basically say they suck.
So we review it honestly, and we say, "Here's what we said. Do you want us to put it up? You paid either way, but we'll just swallow it." The 10 grand.
They'll be pretty pissed if they pay you money. They expect you to say what they want you to say,
But
not
at the same
what
time,
you want to say.
The people who make it through the barrier, I think those guys will talk about it. They're gonna make some bank.
Probably, yeah. Whatever.
All right. If anyone wants to give us 10 grand, I'll talk about whatever you want me to talk about.
we don't do advertisements on Geeknights. It has to be on something else.
Wouldn't be an advertisement.
Okay. A paid review is an advertisement.
Not if I'm honest.
I think it is.
So Wizards of the Coast gave me 10 grand to talk about D&D. Man, you should really be playing Burning Wheel.
Whatever.
Is that okay?
I don't know. We need to. I don't know. I think it's still an advertisement if you get paid.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.